What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. Do remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification and put it on all so you can get notified as soon as we drop any new content on the channel. Without further ado, let's get into this one. So this subject that I'm going to talk about is one that is quite controversial. It's one that's quite in your face, which is YouTube boxing. And I'm going to just talk about whether or not YouTube boxing is actually a problem for boxing as a sport as a whole. So there's been a lot of talk about it lately. People have been coming out and saying, listen, this YouTube boxing is sort of taken away from real boxing. This is taken away from real fighters. These guys are just coming from playing games on the internet, and now they're turning their hand to boxing. They're making millions, whereas there's fighters in small halls. They're not making much money. They're not very well known. They're not getting, as I've said, they're not getting paid or whatnot. And a lot of people do feel that this YouTube boxing thing is an issue, is a big problem for the sport of boxing, for quote unquote real boxing. So, we've had recently guys like Jake Wood, former actor. He played, he's still an actor actually. He played Max Branning in EastEnders. He came out, he was going back and forth with KSI on online on Twitter. And he said, look, I'm canceling my DAZN subscription. And he was speaking in light of all this, because obviously lately DAZN have been putting multiple YouTube boxing cards on their platform. They've been doing these Misfits cards, which is basically, I think it's KSI's business. It's his sort of outfit where he puts on all these different guys, and it's called the Misfits cards. You've got girls fighting on there, guys fighting on there, and it's all just a sort of YouTube audience that's into it. And they've done a few, at least, over the past couple of months, I'm sure they've done at least 2 or 3 cards. I mean, if you want to include the Mayweather versus Deji one as well. So they've done a lot of cards, and, a lot of people, Jake Wood is a high profile one that, look, sick of these YouTube cards, and you've got the cheek to put them on pay-per-view, and they're going on a sort of streaming platform called DAZN, where it was all about real boxing. It was all about the end to pay-per-view, and now they've got the cheek to put these cards on. So there's a lot of disgruntled people about this whole YouTube thing. Secondly, obviously as a knock-on effect to that, nowadays, I've noticed it a lot that we've been getting all the big boxing YouTube channels and platforms have been putting on loads and loads of content from these YouTube guys. You've IFL TV, it's the big one, started from, doing boxing events and stuff like that, and, other sports. And it was really looked upon as, number one. I think they've got over 1 billion views on their platform. And a lot of their content, other channels, Boxing Social, I think Seconds Out, a lot of these other platforms have been sort of covering this YouTube stuff now a lot. Like, if you subscribe to these guys, you will see a lot of the content, it's YouTube guys. It was KSI and this guy, arguing in the ring, the other guy throwing water over this MMA fighter guy. And then a lot of the content on these boxing platforms has been YouTube stuff. So, there's definitely a lot of concern, and it's at this point in time, whether people like it or not, the YouTube thing has been thriving. It's been getting a lot of eyes on the sport. They're putting these pay-per-view events on. People are showing up. The places are getting packed out, and people seem to want to watch it. The general public, the casual fans, seem to want to watch it. And you could ask the question, should we be upset with platforms such as the big boxing media platforms for covering the YouTube events? And I personally, I'm kind of on the fence with that, because I think primarily these guys, even if you want to say Sky Sports, DAZN, IFL, whichever big platforms you want to name, I think it's a touchy one because you could say, oh, they should just stay pure to boxing, to the real stuff, but at the same time, they're not only boxing platforms, they're also businesses who make money off of the views that they get. So as much as I would prefer to just see pure boxing content, serious stuff, I don't want to see YouTubers running about and, throwing water on each other and doing pranks or all this stuff that they do, the joke stuff. I mean, I would rather sort of not see that stuff, but at the same time, I can also understand that these guys are businesses. The TV channels, the apps, the YouTube channel, they're all about business. They're all about views and about getting that money. So if you want to get that money, you got to go with what is trending, what is popping, what is popular with the people, what's popular with the population. What you got to go with what is going to make you money. So I can sort of understand from that perspective why they cover it. I'm not a fan of it so much, but I can at least see, well, that's why they cover it. And also, just as a sort of to go towards conclusion on this, one of the things that is another big reason why this YouTube stuff is thriving and being shown on these mainstream platforms without much of an issue is, number one, because these YouTubers have got an audience of their own. So just like when I think KSI and Logan Paul fought the first time in the kind of semi-pro with the head guard thing, I think the reason they can get away with that is because they've got a platform of their own. They've got an audience of their own, so they don't necessarily even need the boxing audience in order to generate money. They're rich already, they got money already, they got an audience already. So it's one of those things where they could almost pretty much choose whatever they want to do, and they will make money. People will watch them because they've captured that audience already. They got their own platform, their own audience. They make their own money. They don't really need boxing in order to raise their profile or to make more money. They got the money already. So that's one reason. But secondly, I think it's at least in part their success is all in terms of the boxing side of things is not only just due to their own audience. It's due to the fact that in boxing there is a void, because in boxing there's so much politics and there's so many fights that are falling through, and these PED scandals and this boxing politics. You got to cross to my side of the street, you're with that promoter, so I can't fight you. All the politics of boxing that are keeping the best away from each other. So in boxing we're not getting the best possible fights that we could get, because there's so much politics involved in it that is, TV networks got beef with each other, promoters got beef with each other, this one don't want to work with that one. So boxing is suffering at the moment because at the end of the day, the best are not fighting the best on a whole. It's not a normative thing in boxing at this point in time for the best possible guys to fight each other. I mean, look at the lightweight division. You got these guys, you got Garcia, Davis, Lopez, Kambosos, Lomachenko, and it's like these guys have not all fought each other. Whereas if boxing was doing well, these guys would have all fought each other and we get, the cream rises to the top. The same with the heavyweights. Politics prevent things. We should have had probably Joshua Wilder years ago when Joshua was unified champ and Wilder was WBC champ. That should have happened. It didn't happen. There's so many fights in boxing that should happen but haven't happened. And therefore I think that's another major reason why these YouTubers guys can just come in, because what they're doing, they're filling a void. So whereas I think if the best fighters were fighting the best, if each division had an undisputed champion, and undisputed championship fights in boxing were the normal thing that we saw all the time, there wouldn't, then it wouldn't be such a thing for these, there wouldn't be such a void. These YouTubers probably wouldn't be able to come in so easily. They would still be able to come in, of course, because they've got their own audience, but boxing would be holding its own, and it would be, if that happened, if we had undisputed fights as a regular thing if the best were fighting the best regularly, like more of a UFC model sort of thing where, but I suppose it's not really a fair comparison to compare UFC, because UFC is controlled by one man, one company, one organization, and that company, that organization does not mix with other organizations. But if boxing was sort of controlled like that, where you had to fight the best, I think it would be a different story, and these YouTubers wouldn't be able to so easily come in and sort of fill the void. They wouldn't be, because the void wouldn't be there. We'd have undisputed champions in the divisions. We'd know who's the best. Politics wouldn't get in the way. If that was a regular thing where the best were fighting the best, undisputed fights were a regular occurrence, it wouldn't be a big thing to have a Crawford versus Spence. It wouldn't be a big deal to have a Fury versus Usyk at this point. It would just be regular. It would be normal. Then if we had that situation, then this YouTube thing wouldn't thrive so much. And ultimately, in conclusion, I think it just, as I mentioned before, it comes down to money at the end of the day. For these organizations, that's why Sky Sports, DAZN, or the YouTube Boxing News, that's why people cover it, because it brings in money, it brings in the views. I don't think ultimately it's a real danger to boxing, to be honest with you, because I know for a fact that the boxing fans such as myself, the hardcore fans who really know about the sport, who really watch the sport and care about the sport, those people are always gonna primarily, and I'd say only really, watch the real boxing, watch the real fights when they come up. My type of a person like me, I'm not gonna watch these YouTube boxing matches. I mean, I've watched a few, to be fair, so maybe that's a bit of a contradiction, but primarily I'm going to watch the real stuff. I'm going to watch the real boxing. So I don't think boxing's really in danger from this YouTube stuff, but I do think they are filling a void. And I do also think if the best were fighting the best in boxing, that void wouldn't be there, and it would be a different conversation. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on this subject. What do you think about YouTube boxing? Is it a problem for real boxing? In the comment section below, let me know what you think. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out.